What's up, guys? I'm Chris, and today you're watching a magic review on Color Match by Tony Anverdi. Welcome to the channel, and thanks for tuning in. Please consider subscribing. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Comment on any questions that you have about the product I'm reviewing or anything you'd like to see in the future. Let me know your thoughts. Also, don't forget to click that notification bell so you don't miss a video or a review. Don't forget to head over to Facebook and join the Chris Edwards Magic Secret Access group. So that is a group that I have kind of based around this channel where I can interact with you guys on a more personal level. And I'm also going to be providing you with a more in-depth look on certain products such as Peak Wallets and other releases that I don't want to go into full detail to the public. So it's more hidden than what a layperson would be able to see. So there'll be unlisted videos where I will post direct links within the group. So those unlisted videos can't be searched via anything. Not visible on my channel, for one, to the public, and two, you won't be able to search those videos through the YouTube search engine or like Google or anything like that. So check that out. The group's got about 400 members now. A lot of great people. We have some good conversation. And in there, I can answer questions in a lot more detail than I will on here. For those of you who watched my review on Prodigy Peak by Franz, I will be doing a book giveaway. I'll be recording a standalone video for that. But basically, you're going to have to be subscribed to the channel. You'll want to have that notification bell clicked so that you know when the video comes up. But we're going to give away a book, and this is out of stock on Penguin, so I'm not sure when they're getting more stock in. So that's a perfect opportunity to receive this while it's out of stock. So keep your eyes open for that. Check out the review if you haven't yet. Color Match is a high quality system of advanced technology hidden in completely normal objects. This will allow you to match colors on drawings that you do or drawings that you print out with your participant in real time, or you're able to predict what the participant will select, which colors they will select in advance. This can also be used for mirror effects, where you place different objects, where you have your spectator place different objects on different areas of their body, and in the end the placement that they've selected and the colors that they've selected match the objects that you've placed on yourself, which you reveal later. So there is a lot of routines that you can do with this on its own, but then with this version, the technology can be removed from the markers and placed into other objects so that you can take this to an entirely new level. I received this a few days ago, so I've had quite a bit of time to really test things out and go over the tutorial and all the inner workings. Just basically, before I did this review, I wanted to be confident that the product did everything that the ad copy stated it did, and I can say that it does in regards to everything other than the range. And I don't know if that's true or untrue. I don't have a football field, so I know that the range is really good. I've had my partner take the markers quite a distance away, and I was still able to verify what color was being selected. But as far as the football field, I don't know if that's accurate, but it showed in the trailer that they were doing some tests through a radio, and I'm going to take their word on it. This is distributed by Murphy's Magic, and you can pick this up from any of your favorite magic retailers. So what do you get? You get the box here, which is pretty high tech in itself. I'm going to shut that off for now. And then you get your 6 markers, as well as a receiver, an armband, and your charging cables. Now the receiver, I'm not going to show it. You can see it in the trailer. This will be somewhat of a vague review because I don't want to go into exposure, but at the same time, the trailer's kind of exposed everything already. So I'm just basically verifying what I can. And I mean, if you have any more detailed questions, don't hesitate to ask. But I would prefer if you join the Facebook group and ask me within the group, just so that we can keep some of the secrets secret. With the receiver, if you guys are familiar with Mental Die by Tony Anverdi, it is basically the exact same receiver. I mean, it does more and it functions a little bit differently, but the receiver itself is almost identical. There is vibration feedback as well as a colored ID feedback, so that you can either have visual vibrations or both. The markers are, just looks like regular marker. Now these don't say Crayola, these say kids colors, but I don't think that makes any difference. It's all very well packaged within the unit itself. And then there's some more nice things about this version that isn't possible with other versions on the market. And we'll get more into that here in a second. The price on this is $295, and overall the quality is very, very good. The tutorial is 2.5 hours long. It's all taught by Javier Formier. He goes over everything in complete detail, from the history of the product itself, and then how to change the batteries, how to activate things, how to go over each setting and control that the receiver offers. There's also a number of routines that Murphy's has released, and then on top of that you have 3 or 4 routines by Craig Petty, a couple by Luca Volpe, and then also Mark Spellman. So there are a lot of names that have contributed to this. Titanus. They also go over how the technology can be removed and placed into other objects if you don't want to use the markers, or if the markers aren't your style, or if you want to go beyond the typical color match presentation. But the tutorial is great. It's all shot very well. Audio is really good. And then with each routine on Murphy's part, they have done a real world performance first, so you can see what it looks like. And then they go into the explanation, and everything's explained very, very well. With the contributing names, there isn't performance videos, but once you understand how the system works and you've seen the tutorial and performances, the first few routines, then you get an idea. You can picture how the rest works. So they just kind of go over the explanation, some subtleties, some different ideas and thoughts, and it's a nice addition. There are also a number of safeguards that have been put in place in both the markers or the units that hold the technology itself, so that if you're using this in other objects, it will still work the same as if it's housed within the markers. The safeguards are basically there so that if your participant doesn't follow exact directions, you still have control over the situation. So if they select a color and use that color and then set it off to the side, that color will go out of play. But if you want to give them the opportunity to use the same color again, you can just hit a reset button on the receiver. Everything comes back into play. As it states in the trailer as well as on the packaging, no special cup is needed, no false signals. So basically, another nice thing with the safeguards is if you have these in a cup, it's going to work in any cup, because this goes off of tilt sensitivity, and you can adjust the sensitivity settings. You can also adjust all of the receiving settings as well. So if you want a stronger or a more mild vibration, that's all customizable to you. And then the tilt settings basically just allow you to set it in different cups if that's how you choose to present this, or you can have them laid flat. Now, I have tested these quite a bit, and I have had no issues on the receiver picking up the signal when a marker is selected and picked up. There's also other things. So if you pick up multiple markers, it will vibrate to let you know that something was done, but it'll stop until a single marker is selected, and then it will carry through with the feedback. So a lot of thought has went into this to make sure that the outcome works exactly as it's supposed to. The difficulty level on this is extremely simple, regardless of what routine you're doing. And the way that they have put this together with vibration feedback to let you know which color has been selected. To memorize, I mean, you have to memorize 5 different vibration sequences or five different vibration patterns. But it's all very, very simple, just based on the number of letters in a color. So I don't know if that makes sense, but if you're worried about getting kind of mixed up or confused by the feedback, it's really nothing to worry about. The angles on this are great. There are no angle restrictions. This can be performed fully surrounded. This can be done close up, street, parlor, stage. It doesn't matter. So nothing to worry about as far as angles go. Setup and reset, that's one of the really nice things about this, is that you can reset this immediately at any point. So one of the safeguards, say the markers are tipped over, if they're being held in a glass or a cup, the markers are tipped over and they go on the floor. Normally that would mess things up, but you just hit the button on your receiver, everything resets, so you can just pick the markers up, put them back on the table. They can be laid flat or they can be put back in the glass. You hit your reset button, that brings every marker back into play, and you have nothing to worry about. Other than that, there really is no setup. There is a kind of one-time setup when you get the markers. You're going to want to charge the receiver if it's not already charged, obviously. And then there are some protectors that are placed within the units to stop the batteries from being activated while it was in the shipping process. But no, after you've done that, they're good to go. The setup is going to be dependent on what routine that you're doing. So if you're doing like a marker placement routine on the body, then you have to set up your prediction in advance. So anything with a prediction or where the outcome is kind of duplicated in that sense, where the markers are being placed and you're going beyond the original color match routine of actually coloring, there's a very quick setup, but it's going to be different with every routine. If you are taking the tech units out of the marker housing and placing them in other objects, obviously there's going to be some setup there too, right? So again, it's all dependent on what you choose to do with these. There are no arts and crafts. The closest thing that I would see with there being arts and crafts is just when you want to replace the ink. Murphy's is going to be releasing refill packages. So from my understanding, you're getting an entire new package of markers. So you'll get another 6 markers, and then I think from there you just remove the ink cartridge from the refill pack and place the new ink cartridge within the unit that has the technology. That also is going to provide you with a matching set of markers, in which you can just put in regular refills, whether it's Crayola or an off-brand or whatever, so that you can make those markers usable as well. But that's all very simple to do, and they go over all of that in the tutorial, whether you're changing the felt tip on the marker or the ink cartridges themselves, or if you are changing the batteries out of the tech. And that's the other nice thing. I like that they went with batteries on the markers rather than having to charge 6 markers. So it's very simple to remove and replace the batteries. And the batteries are cheap. I got a pack of 20 batteries, so that is 4 replacements, within 5 markers, and it was under $5. I'm not sure on the battery life of the markers yet, but I kind of assume it's going to be pretty good, because I don't think the markers themselves are going to use a lot of battery, more so the receiver, which is USB chargeable. So I think that was the best route to go, making the markers have batteries and the receiver being chargeable. That way, if your markers are getting low, there's indicators to show you whether your receiver is running low on battery life, as well as each individual marker, so that you know to change those out and you're not going to get caught in the middle of a live performance and your markers go dead. So you'll know in advance when each color is getting low on battery, and you just swap it out. It honestly takes probably 5 seconds to swap the battery out. Super simple. Can it be examined? Yes, absolutely. These look just like regular markers. They're going to be handling these, whether it's them using them to color, or if they are placing them on different areas of their body or different locations. So yeah, 100% examinable. Obviously, no one's going to know there's a receiver in play, so it's just the markers themselves that will be used, and yeah, they're handling them the whole time. Pocket space. So the trailer does show these being used within a close-up and street performance. Whoops. Here's your pocket space. Right, so if you want to throw these in your pants pocket, or if you're carrying a jacket, those will fit in the inside or the outside of your jacket. They don't take up a lot of space. I mean, if you want reference in advance, go pick up a set of Crayola markers, and it'll be exactly the same. These are the exact same width, height, diameter. So that's your pocket space. Now, some may feel like this isn't something that would be carried around in your pocket, but honestly, I think for the versatility of these and how many different routines that you can perform that are completely different from the color match routine compared to the mirror routine where objects are placed on the body, they're all so different that if you're carrying these, you can do so many different routines that I think it's worth, throwing these in your pocket, and even if that takes up an entire pocket. The other nice thing about this, and this kind of goes back to quality, is that another safeguard that was set in place to extend battery life is that when you put these markers back in the packaging, that turns the markers off. It's nothing to do with the packaging, it's just that the markers have to be in an upright position in the correct orientation. So it's recommended that you just use the packaging that's been provided. So right now all the markers are off. To turn them on, you just have to lay them flat, and then they will turn on within 5 seconds. So on and off, very simple, and as long as you are storing them in the package, you're not going to have to worry about the batteries draining or anything like that. Is this a worker? So normally, before I do my reviews, I try to get out in a working environment if I can, or at least perform this for a number of people in different settings. I have not been able to do that yet. I have tested these, I have played around with them a lot in the last few days, but I think it's a given to say that these are going to be a worker just because the possibilities that you can do with these are endless, since they can be done close up, they can be done strolling, street, parlor, all the way up to stage. I'm confident in saying that this is a worker, regardless of what type of working magician or mentalist you are. It's going to fit somewhere within your repertoire. Who would use this? Obviously, this was designed to be used towards mentalism, but because of the features within this specific set, since you're able to remove the tech and place them in other objects, this can be used for all sorts of things, whether it's magic applications or mentalism applications. It's basically just going to give you a signal of when something is being moved, and you're able to identify what object that is or what color that is based on the feedback that you're given. So this definitely isn't specific for mentalism. However, I think that you'll get the most out of this if you're performing within mentalism. Is this worth the money? So like I mentioned earlier, it's $295, which is approximately half the price of a number of other sets out there. I'm not going to name names, but there are a number of different color match units out there. This is extremely affordable in that sense. And then also, given that you can do certain things with this that you can't with others, I think that this is definitely worth the money. So it plays huge, and whether you're just using the basic routine or getting creative and deciding how to use other everyday objects or other objects that suit your style or your set to come up with your own routines and different applications, I think that this is a very, very good price for what you get and the possibilities that you will get out of this. Positives and negatives. So honestly, it works as it's supposed to. Everything that it says it does, and it does well as far as I can see. Like I said, I've only had this for a few days. I have spent a lot of time with it, but I don't know how it's going to work over the long term, right? So I have no negatives right now that I've run into or come across. Everything's been extremely well thought out as far as how the markers work, how the tech inside itself works, and then all the safeguards that have been set in place to make sure that you're getting the most out of this, and there aren't going to be false signals or confusion for you as a performer, since you're not going to be seeing what's going on. And that's kind of the whole point of this being so well thought out, and so many things put into place to make sure that this works for you. I don't have any negatives. The positives is that it does work great, and the quality is really good, and that it's all been really well thought out. The other huge positive that I've mentioned is that I love how they've allowed you to remove the technology from this, so that if markers aren't your thing, or you want to go into something maybe more serious, or if you have a different performing style, so if you're a bit more of like a mystery performer or bizarre magic, or different things like that, then you can still use the technology provided without having to use the markers themselves. I just think that that's something that they definitely didn't have to do to make this worth buying, but such a nice feature on top of that. So when you think of even which hand routines, right, these can be placed into a small object that can be contained within the hand, and the possibilities are endless. The tutorial is going to give you so much to start with, and then you're just going to come up with your own as things go on. So there's a lot of positives to this, no current negatives. But again, if you have any questions, I don't want to go into too much detail on this. So if you go to the Facebook group, then I'll be happy to answer any questions there. Or if you have questions that haven't been covered, I will kind of test things out and let you know what the answer is to the best of my ability. With that said, go check out the trailer. That's going to show you more on performances, how they look, how these work. They do give a lot away in the trailer, which is why I didn't go into an enormous amount of detail with this, because you are getting a ton of details within the trailer. I'm just trying to expand and verify that, yes, they do everything that they say they do, and they do it well. So check that out, and then I'll leave a link in the description if you want to pick this up. And then again, head over to the Facebook group. I'll answer anything you need me to there, whether it's publicly or through direct message. I just find that that's a lot easier in regards to communication. So with all of that said, we will see you at the next review.